Hello there, my name is Davis. Welcome back to the Road to Glory FIFA 21, and we finally made it. 28 games with the silver team, all on foot champs, 17 wins we finished on. It was a long, grueling weekend, and at 10 past 1 on a Sunday, early Monday morning, we managed to grind out the final 8, 9 games that we needed to play. 6 wins on the bounce with the Silvers saw us shoot straight up from silver 1 all the way to gold 2. Unfortunately, we did have 3 games remaining with the potential of getting gold 1, which I am still yet to get this year. So technically, I've matched my best ever finish on FIFA this year with the silver team. 17 wins, 2 games remaining. Obviously, there's no much point really in finishing them off. I could try and get to 19 wins, but I just don't see the point. I don't want to use the silver team anymore. As much as I had a little bit of fun with it, my head is pretty cooked with it, and I don't want to see another silver card for at least a week unless they bring out a decent silver in form, in which case I'll dig the team back out. But I'll go through the team. I assume you would have seen the highlights already, or if not, it'll be after this. But I'll just give my rundown of the team, give my thoughts on each player, of the ones that I can give decent thoughts about. Including those off the bench, and just how I felt using a silver team was, and how I thought it was going to go for FIFA 21 this weekend. So I'll start things off at the back. Might as well start with the keeper, the only gold player on the team in the starting 11 or subs, just simply because I've used Rodak enough in rivals and in friendlies to know how bad silver keepers are this year. Once again, it was the same last year. As to be expected, expecting silver goalkeepers to be anywhere near as good as gold goalkeepers, and that was the only condition I wanted going into this, was that I could have a decent keeper. So yeah, Alisson, he was decent for us this weekend. Made some big saves in games where if I had this, most of the games I would have probably struggled in if I had a silver keeper, to be honest. He came out with some big saves, and kept us in games where maybe we shouldn't have been, and we were able to turn those kind of games around thanks to him. So I recommend him. I don't know who else I could have played there. Maybe Addison, I know, is a good Premier League keeper. I haven't tested him out, but in terms of Alisson, I was pretty impressed with him. Left back, Ruben Vinagre from Wolves. I don't think he's at Wolves anymore in this card. I picked him up for 4.5k very early in the game. I imagine he's quite expensive now because he's no longer at Wolves, and he's probably the best silver left back in the Premier League. So you're looking at like 15k. So I've made like 10k on him since he's left, and he is very, very, very good. He is. I haven't used many left backs this year. Lodi's one of them. Regulon, another, and he's very much on par with Regulon, to be honest, in terms of how he plays. He's not the strongest, but he's very quick, very good dribbling, and not too bad going forward. He doesn't get caught out too much going back just because of how quick he is. Sometimes his strength does let him down a little bit. So that's why we put the Anchor Chem style, just to boost her up a little bit to 62. I know it's not much of a difference, but he was one of the better defenders in there. One I was very impressed with. and a reason that I wanted to play Callum Hudson-Odoi left mid to start with, because I just feel he's a much better defender than Jared or Jaden. There's Jaden Bogle. So I was happy to keep him in, and he was definitely one of the standout defenders for us this weekend. In terms of the two centre backs, we'll start with Saliba. Actually, I'll probably just round them two together because they were more or less very, very similar. There was no standout centre back, but they made mistakes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that they were the best centre backs in the world, because they certainly wouldn't. And neither am I the best FIFA defender in the world, but they've done a job. They were quick enough over short distances to catch up to players, but if you get a player with a run on them 6 yards, then you're not catching them. You're not catching the pacey strikers like. I had trouble with Vardy this weekend. I had trouble with Rodrigo. Funnily enough, it was those kind of players I struggled more with, rather than the trickier players. Like I played a couple of Neymars, I played some Mbappes, some Quincy Promises, who they done well. They are hard to defend against if the player knows what they're doing with him, but they are decent at tackling, but not kind of being on the back foot and running in behind and trying to catch speedy attackers. But they've done a job for me. I wouldn't have. I wasn't considering at all at any point wanting to like swap them for anyone else. I think they're probably two of the better defenders from the Premier League in terms of Silvers. Samuel J. Previous weeks when I've used him for like objectives, he scored so many headers for me, just from being at the near post. But I think I switched something with the tactics. I might just swap these two. He might have been on the left last time, and ever since then he's not been at the near post. He's always been back post, and I haven't scored any goals from corners or anything like that with him, despite having quite a few. It only says 2 there, but I know I've scored a lot more on friendlies. But yeah, solid overall. The biggest thing which led them to, and to be honest, the majority of the team, is the passing down, which I'll get to more or less at the end for the roundup. And the final defender or defenders is Jaden Bogle, who came in towards the end, the last 10 games or so, when we got rid of Okafor, swapped Callum Hudson-Odoi back from left mid over to the right mid. This is how we originally set up the weekend, and we had Farkas at right back, but Jaden Bogle was okay when he came on. He often got subbed late on for either Linez or Farkas, whoever was on the bench at the time. And he held his own. He's not as good. He's definitely nowhere near as good as Vinagre in terms of both aspects of play, but he wasn't completely out of place. Farkas, on the other hand, I was very, very gutted that I wasn't able to play him once we dropped Okafor, because he's a very, very good fullback for a silver. The 91 stamina and the boosted pace with the shadow means he was just back and forth every time. He was very, very good, and I was quite disappointed when we had to get rid of him. He's even got decent strength and good aggression, so he was able to stick in a good tackle, and it was very rarely caught out. But we did eventually choose to go back to the Martinelli at left mid and Hudson-Odoi at right mid. In terms of the centre midfielders, we had a 2-man midfield for the majority of the time. We have Romain Sawyers of West Brom and Chowdhury of Leicester, Hamza Chowdhury. Chowdhury's often the like the main defensive midfielder. If we went to a 4-1-2-2 narrow, he would be the one that drops between the defenders. Or and for the 4-4-2, they both kind of stayed back, but he was much more better at the defensive side of it. And he's a very, very good silver midfielder from the Prem. He's probably one of the better silver midfielders overall. He's just kind of everywhere, and he's always able to put in a good tackle, dispossess his players like other midfielders. Often came up against quite a lot of Pogbas this weekend, and he dealt with them for the most part very, very well. And was brilliant at breaking up the play. Sawyers was more of a box-to-box. As you can see by the card, it's much more well-rounded than Chowdhury. But with the shadow on him as well, just to boost those defensive stats, as he was another defensive midfielder, more or less. He done okay in there. He put himself about, and he wasn't too bad. He was often the one breaking forward a bit more. Even though he does have a low attacking work rate, he was always more forward than Chowdhury, I found, and was kind of linking play a bit more between the defence and the attack. Same with the defenders, though. It's just the running theme throughout the whole team was the lack of passing in that midfield. The amount of times I just couldn't get out of my own box. I was camped in. I was looking for players to pass to. There was no one there to pass to, and I'd end up panicking and playing a poor pass into like an attacker and counter attack on us, and we concede from it. And I threw away a couple of games like that, which was disappointing. Made my head go a bit, but we did what we could, and that is the biggest thing about the team, really. In terms of the wingers, start off with Cho, who played the full 28 games with us. Started at left mid, done okay. He plays cam when we go into the 4-1-2-2 narrow, but for the majority of the time he was out wide. He got involved a couple of times, a couple of big goals actually, a couple of very, very big goals that he scored to win us a couple of games. It took him well. It's just nice having a 4-star skill move player on the team. He's the only one in the starting 11. And it's nice to have that when you get him out to the wings. You got a different option rather than the pretty static nature of the rest of the attackers. So he was another good one, another top tier silver, really, especially with the hunter on him. The boosted pace makes him rapid. Not too sure about the shooting boost because I didn't really get him into shooting positions too often. The majority of the time was cutting in onto the wing and passing it. The times he needed to score, he did majority of the time put them away. I think maybe a catalyst would have probably suited him better just to boost that passing. Being out on that wing would have maybe benefited him a bit more, which I found with Martinelli might have, who didn't play too much for us this weekend. He similarly to Bogle, he came in last couple of games, last 10 or so, scored a couple of goals for us and kind of filled the gap. He was often I brought him off half time, 60 minutes nearly every game, for our left wing inform Mukhtar, who's a very, very good all-round midfielder. If he was, because this card sort of in the 4-1-2-2 narrow plays the Lampard role midfield, makes late runs into the box. He's very good at that. But he also can play a decent box-to-box midfielder with good passing. decent dribbling, and I mean the physicals aren't great, but they're not too bad either, especially with 95 stamina is kind of what you want from a midfielder. So Mukhtar, very, very good. When he came on, Martinelli kind of held his own. And for Okafor, I really wanted him to be good, but unfortunately it just wasn't really working out for the first 10 games. I tried him out wide, as I said in the last episode, just doesn't suit him as a player. He's way too stiff. I think it might just be that balance, which kind of lets him down. But up front, he's a little bit better, running in behind. I tried shooting, but even with what have we got on him? Is there Deadeye? Yeah, even with the Deadeye chem style, it's still not great. It's not as clinical as you'd like it to be. But he done okay. I wouldn't say he done awful because he didn't do great, and he didn't really cost us any games, to be honest, that I remember. So I can't slate him too much. And that is about it for the midfielders and the wingers, and we get on to the attackers. Starting with this man up top as part of the pair. He started the first 8 games of the weekend. He was dropped, but for no particular reason or fault of his own. I just felt he didn't do. I felt he didn't do as much. I felt I didn't notice him whilst he was in the team. He didn't score as many goals as Adams, and when I brought Akinfenwa on, he outscored Vidra in the games that he played, even off the bench. So it was a bit harsh for me to drop him, but as soon as I dropped him, like the couple of games afterwards, it becomes so noticeable just because he's the highest passer on the team. Which is mad because as a striker to have the highest passing on the team is not great, especially because we have such a limited midfield. I mean, 72 passing on Sayers doesn't feel like 72 passing at all, just because we haven't really boosted it. So many loose balls and so many wasted attacks because of poor passing. And when we swapped Vidra out for Akinfenwa, who has 50 passing, which is probably one of the worst on the team, it became really noticeable after a couple of games. When we brought Akinfenwa in, I think he scored a hat-trick off the bench in the first game, put him into the team for a couple of games, scored a hat-trick on his full debut, and then he scored goals. He was very, very good goal scorer, as I said in the last episode. He's a man wrecking ball, one-man demolition crew, 99 strength. The dribbling looks good on paper. It isn't great, to be honest. He just feels so stocky. Might be because of his body type on the game. But as soon as you get him in a one-on-one or in a shooting opportunity, he does bury most of the shots, which is what you want from a striker, but not what I wanted from my second striker, because we already had Shea Adams, who was the main man up top. And when we lost Matty Vidra, we lost that link play between the midfield and the attack. I'd play balls into Akinfenwa, he'll bounce off him. You try to play a pass, it'll be an awful pass, the attack would break down, and we'd have to start again. But as soon as I brought Vidra back in, Adam started scoring again, we started winning again, and the team just kind of clicked a lot better. And he came back in for the last 12 to 10 to 12 games of the weekend, and I played some of the best FIFA of the weekend in those games. So definitely regret dropping him, but it was nice to try out Akinfenwa, who's actually not a bad striker at all in terms of a silver. And finally, we come to the man of the weekend. I've never been so surprised using a player, to be honest. But in form, Shea Adams, the free card this week. You literally have to win 3 games with with a silver team, and you get this card. And I can't praise him enough. I I would say gold 2 is solely on this man. If we had even maybe normal Shea Adams, we wouldn't even got gold, I don't think, because the amount of goals he scored for us and the amount of solo goals he scored for us, even with 3-star skill moves, is unbelievable. 53 goals, 30 games, 19 assists as well. It's just mental stats from a silver card. And I say silver card, he's not got the stats of a silver card either. I mean, 89 acceleration, 90 sprint speed is a great split, because he's just rapid. He's rapid at the start, and he's rapid over distance as well. It doesn't diminish like some players. They have a high acceleration, low sprint speed, or vice versa, where they're slow going off the start, but once they get going. But no, as soon as you sprint, he's just gone. He's even with the strength as well, the strength and the aggression. He bullied meta defenders. Like Sergio Ramos had nightmares against him. I played him a few times. There's a couple of games against Van Dijk, who I don't think he's the best centre back this year, Van Dijk, but he's still one of the top ones. And he gave Van Dijk a run for his money as well. I don't know what it is, but something with this card, with the stats that he has, it just clicks, and he just bangs goals for fun, because it's such a fun card to use, because you don't expect it from a silver. And I think there's maybe 2-3 days left on this card by the time this video comes out that you can do him. And if you're a Premier League team or an English team, not even if you have the team, if you're planning on doing any sort of objectives where you need an English card and you don't want to shell out for like a Vardy, or you want someone pacier than Kane, or you can't afford Rashford at left wing, just get the card in, because he will do just as good as a job as a Vardy, as a Kane, as, I don't know, who else is an English striker? I don't know. He's much better than any of the bang average English strikers that you can pick up for 700 coins. And I mean, in terms of coin value, he's free. Just takes it takes about half hour, couple of games, and he's done. But yeah, Shea Adams, absolutely unbelievable player, and he will have a place on my bench for a long time, even through the gold squads. And he is my man of the weekend. Phenomenal card. I can't praise him enough. Yeah. So that is it. That is my roundup of my team. Gold 2 with a silver team. It's not bad. Gutted I couldn't get gold 1, which would have been my best finish of the year so far. But we'll take what we can get. But yeah, my thoughts on the team as a whole. It was okay. I used 4-1-2 and 4-4-2 actually. I tell a lie. I used 4-4-2 for the majority of this weekend for the first time. And it worked out quite well. I did have to switch into 4-1-2 and 2 narrow against some players, especially the ones that decided to either press hard against me or sat back against me. The two extremes, I went into this one to try and shake it up a bit, which seemed to work for the most part. There's a couple of times where I got caught out, but I did manage to deal with most things pretty well. That's how we lined up in the 4-1-2 and 2 narrow. Adams, Vidra up top, Hudson-Odoi in cam, Martinelli often swapped out for Mukhtar in the midfield, Chowdhury and Sawyers holding, and the usual back four. In terms of the 4-1-2-2, the 4-4-2, pretty simple. Vidra, Adams up top, and Martinelli and Hudson-Odoi out wide. But yeah, if I was to do, would I use this team again? Probably not for a long time. It was very, very mentally draining to get to where I was, especially Saturday night. It was a bit of a meltdown. I think I played 5 games, lost 4, won 1. So I struggled big time that night. Thankfully, I was able to turn around tonight, Sunday night, and I was able to get a run of good games going. But the team just needs, if I was to use another silver team, just need better midfielders, better defenders. Basically, you need like an inform. Like if you give a Premier League midfielder an inform with good passing, just a well-rounded card, like a bog standard gold card, would do the job. But yeah, it just needs better passing all around in the team. Even the defenders, I'd say, if he was going to boost anything, I'd say boost passing, because that is the biggest weakness of this silver team I found. But other than that, very, very enjoyable. Something different. Shakes it up from the usual 4-2-3-1 with, I don't know, Martial, Son, Ousmane Dembele's that I see all the time. Just the boring old shite which you come up against 20 games over the weekend. So hopefully I could bring something a little bit different, a different perspective to the Ultimate Team weekend, where not everything needs to be so sweaty and 5-star skills and all that nonsense. So hopefully, if you've enjoyed, leave a like, and that would help me out massively. I grinded so hard for this weekend. If not, leave a dislike. Let me know in the comments down below what I could do better, what I could do different, and what I can help change and grow myself as a content creator. If I stay up to date with any of the series, anything else I put on the channel. I got a week off from work this week, so I'll probably pump out quite a few videos, might get a couple of reviews in. And if you want to stay up to date with those, or what rewards I get from getting Gold 2 with this team, you can always subscribe. That helps me out massively. But other than that, I have been Davis. I am fucking knackered. I'm going to bed. Good night.
Take